Welcome everyone. We're back. I'm joined by the lovely Magi yet again.
Yeah.
We are here to discuss this. I'm gonna be going into the depths of the dusty unranked, and I'm going to be playing box while we discuss the box rectangular controllers, how they work, why, like our opinions. I mean, granted, disclaimer before you like controller gods are watching this, neither myself or Magi are like that educated on
We're
this.
so not educated.
Yeah, so we just got like our experiences and whatnot. I'm kind of familiar with this, so I'm like learning it, but
I'm 0% familiar with this. I have one right here. I don't know what I'm doing with it, but I hope you all enjoy anyway.
yeah. So Magi, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, so far, like, from my very limited use of it, that it's just complicated to get started with, and that's what I hear most people say is like, oh, it's like kind of hard to get started with it, but like once you get used to it, like it's pretty sick, and like you have like so much like consistency across all your inputs. The controllers are all like, you just program to like for it to do the same thing every time, right? And that's like, that's so nice. And like even some small stuff too, like dash dancing, like you don't have to like actually physically like move across the whole ass like control stick gate, and like that just makes certain things like easier and less stressful on your hands. So like I definitely like it. I don't know like how I feel about the fairness of it, because I just like I said, I don't really know that much about it, but I do like it. I like the option.
Right, like just knowing that like the people who have like hand issues or just constant controller problems, they can always like have another outlet. This is fucking, whoever I'm playing is fucking good. It reminds me of like, best way I could describe this, shouts to all my like manual drivers out there. It's like, it reminds me of driving stick a lot.
Really?
Yeah, so like driving stick, it's like, initially it's harder to learn because you gotta worry about the clutch and all that shit, but essentially once you get good at it, you have more control over the car.
Right,
like, you can control speed and just like, how just like how your car moves.
Right.
I just feel like it's way more easier to dictate where you want to go in a car.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the same, like it's the closest thing that I felt with the box. It's kind of the same. It's harder to learn, sure, but it's definitely like once you learn how to use it, it's just like so good,
Yeah, that's interesting, because like in my brain I would associate like, okay, the controller would be the one that's more like driving stick, because like you have like full access. Oh, that sucks.
No, yeah.
You have full access to all of like the directions and stuff, but like I can see how like all of the different, like you have to control so many individual inputs with buttons that like it kind of does feel probably more like controlling more pieces at once, or like more precise pieces at once, which is like I never thought about it.
Right, I guess because like with the control stick, you're just like you're oh god, I must go. With the control stick, you're like pressing you're just moving, you're drifting which way you want to go. As far as like with this, it's like you got to press the button to make it go where you want to go, which sometimes is kind of weird because you think like, okay, what is like when I first used this, like the concept of using up or like jump is so weird on this thing. Yeah, that was close.
Live. Okay. I use actually. What's funny? I have experience on hitboxes for fighting games, and usually, jump on hitboxes for fighting games is the
it's in the middle.
The left thumb. Yeah, left thumb.
Right.
And so that's why I was playing with it. I was like, why am I not jumping? And I realized it's on the pinky, like the last place that I would think. But it makes a lot of sense with the modifier stuff that you kind of do need that space, and like, technically you do have access to like the jump button plus up. So like there are times where the jump is more, it feels more like easy to do.
Controllers post 2000 are very like stick heavy. It's not like
right.
Which I guess makes sense because you can angle and dictate where you want to go by just like
the move to 3D games, like very analog like environments, like back then, like on 2D games or like 16-bit games, like everything was probably just like, you just needed the D-pad, so like they didn't need to have like the whole analog stick. But there's definitely a big switch to sticks for sure.
Right.
Like there's a lot of games that I think wouldn't feel super amazing on like hitbox, like you know, like I don't know, like Mario Galaxy probably doesn't really work with like digital inputs. Like I'm sure it does, and like if you try hard enough it does, and like you get benefits for doing it, but it's interesting. I'm sure like that's why everyone's instinct is like, oh no, there's no way this is good.
Right, like why would you need that? It's kind of like when you like, I guess the closest is like arcades. Like you wouldn't see those type of games at arcades because they just don't make sense.
Right.
Whereas
right,
like you'll see like Street Fighter there, and I feel like they even put those buttons there because it just made the game easier for people to play without having a controller. But I mean, I guess as far as like box stuff, and I know like a lot of people think it should be nerfed. In some ways, I feel that way. In some ways, I feel like it's hella hard to use, right? Like DIing, like doing normal stuff that like drifting normally.
That's what I hear is that the hard stuff is easy to do and the easy stuff is hard to do.
Right. At least for me, it's hard. Like drifting became much more difficult.
Yeah. Because like with the control stick, you can just like literally just do it. Like it's very intuitive, but like on box, like you gotta know the drift, and you have the modifiers too.
Right, and then just that, like up tilting, you have to like press 3 buttons to up tilt. It's so strange.
Right. That was immediately when I used it, I'm just like, yep, this definitely is gonna take like at least like a year for me to figure this shit out. Like this feels really tough. But it's interesting too with controller legality in particular, like the nerfs and stuff. Like you're technically not supposed to account for like how difficult, or like not how difficult, but like how I guess complicated it is. Like, because like people are gonna grind it and like they're gonna figure out how to do it, and it's like that the complicatedness of it is technically not gonna matter for like if it's just like if people are just kind of not abusing, but like they're able to do like really fucked up shit, basically. Like
shit that like it's so hard for a controller to do.
Right. Like I know a lot of people talk about like SDI in particular, how like, you know, you just kind of like tap all the buttons, and like, you know, control stick, you can do like the wank DI or whatever, like the wiggling it like against the controller gain. You can get like kind of close, but you know, I think because of like all that precision and whatnot, like I can see why people have problems with like the SDI in particular. Like the input that or one of the biggest changes for like the digital input is like the ease of access to go from like one side of the stick to the other. Like on a controller, if you dash dance, like you have to travel so far, and that's like so much effort, and like being precise with that is really difficult. Whereas like on box, you just like tap 2 buttons. You don't like your fingers never leave the position that like they would need to go in order to like, you know, to do the dash dance input or whatever. And sometimes it's like it's arguably even more complicated on box, because like you have to time like the let go of one side so that you can like start dashing on the other side. But like even then, let's go.
Way less rage quits on this new unranked mode.
Oh yeah, I think people are they're just more down. I think they're more down once you have like someone near your score or whatever.
Right.
All I really know about the box is that it's really difficult and that it's really consistent, and I think there's lots of pros and cons to that, but I have like, that's why I stay away from this discussion, to be honest. No, I just have a hard time, like I don't really know what's busted on it. Like I know SDI is good. I understand conceptually why it's really good. I'm just very, very, very uninformed. Like the controller nerds know so much more about it.
I feel you, and even like I kind of use this, and I'm like still like, you know, it's still a lot that I don't know. From my experience, I do think it's like the box is like, I guess you got to think about like potential versus like what's practical. Right. And I feel like
that's kind of what I was saying.
Potential, like, the box is kind of insane, but I think practically it's not as crazy. It's just so, because you gotta think about like the learning curve to, I think to go hard, if you want to get as good as you currently are on box, it takes like 6 months of like hard grinding, at least 6 months. I guess if they were to nerf something, see, I don't know how you can make the inputs analog because that wouldn't work. But
right, like you would have to like police the what is it? The actual like I guess inputs, yeah, the code, or like you have to like make it to where like, oh, you can't do this, but like it already kind of can't do certain things. Like you're limited by the angles, right? Like you can't do all of the spacey angles. I know there was some talk recently that they're gonna update UCF because of controller polling or whatever. Like controllers are unnecessarily nerfed from SDI. And Box like gets to bypass that. It's kind of similar to the smash turn thing. Like they discovered a new smash turn thing with SDI, and PTAS, I remember him mentioning that like, oh yeah, like actually like Hax is right. We are gonna change this so that controllers or normal gaming controllers can SDI like boxes do. And maybe that's actually what's gonna like be the thing that equalizes the two. Like maybe controller actually has like pretty decent SDI potential.
I agree. I think you brought up the point where like instead of nerfing box, you could buff controller in some way.
Right. That's kind of what UCF was initially. It was like it's funny because like it's like this awkward thing where like we weren't really worried about all this stuff, and then we realized like, oh wait, well I guess technically box can do this, and that's really fucked up. But I guess if controllers could do it, then it's fine.
If as long as the out or the playing field is like even, then it's just hard to make it because I don't know. It's so many things that I think require, and then the thing too is like different boxes work differently. Like for example, like I think was it the Smash box, like their inputs are way more different than like the frame one, and I think the box is more like set to a certain thing. Like you can't change your on the box you can't change your like button mapping, but like the frame one, frame one you can do that. I mean, it's a business too for a lot of these people, right? So you know, some of these people make hella bread modding controllers or fixing controllers, and same with like boxes. So you gotta be like to have someone who's versed in both. You got me.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Man, Marth's sword's so big.
But it's hard because a lot of people like there's a lot of people who oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who aren't
DI shit. It's hard to DI that.
It's hard to DI. I definitely would have got that on a controller for sure. But you know, I think it takes a lot of time for us to figure out like what's best to do. I think discussion's good though, because it at least, even if people don't agree, because there's people who are both in the controller game and don't agree. There's people who also both like use boxes and don't agree. So I think the hard part is finding something that's universal that everybody could agree on.
And especially like there's just so much info that's so scattered. Like a lot of our info about all this stuff is like it's on Reddit, it's on Twitter, it's on like different people's Twitter, and it's like really hard, like different Discords. Like it's hard to really know everything. And it's like that's why it's like that's why the discourse is so difficult to participate in. It's just like I feel like, and it's also like this shit is just hella complicated, and it takes hella time to be like to know what you're talking about. And so I think that's why it's like we have all of this scattered info and all of these different experiences. And I'm sure, you know, people like I'm sure there are a lot of people who have very valid like takes on it and everything, but it's just so hard to know everything that like it's definitely really tough. And I wish that like, you know, we could just have people who like have laptops at every tournament and they just like look at all the shit to make sure that like if we nerf it that it's fine. But like it just feels so complicated that I'm not really surprised that so far our take has been like let's just like let it rock for now. Like, just don't cheat, please. Like, can we just not?
And that's the biggest question. At what point, and this is applicable to controllers also, just like when does it get too far with just the whole controller box? Like, when will we be like, nah? Or, you know.
it's interesting. Like I think a lot of other games, like they just don't have to really deal with it. But I remember like a little bit, like from the very little misinformed like little nugget of perspective I had, like watching like Street Fighter or whatever. It seemed like people definitely initially were like, damn, like they got hitboxes, and like you could just like press left and right. Like you don't have to move the whole. You don't have to move your entire wrist to go back like left, right, and shit.
Right. They
Like,
were saying in Street Fighter 2, not the game Street Fighter. I mean like 5 at least. Like I remember, was it Ponchan? We might need Art in here because Art.
Yeah.
Fucking they're talking about how Pad was good with that because like you know
the D-pad.
yeah, because like in Street Fighter 5 there's no like invincible backdash, so it's harder to like backdash from like a arcade stick because you gotta like you said, you gotta use that like
perfect.
Yeah, you gotta do like this as opposed to just like tapping twice with your thumb. You know?
We're gonna be at the point where it's like, yeah, like it's honestly too complicated to police, and like we're just gonna have to like generally like say like, okay, don't do like some crazy shit, like don't have like the power shield AI in your controller, you know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to manage. I do think though we just need to be like, I do think at least the people who make the rules need to really be more educated on like boxes and how they like, you know, the use of them. At least maybe have an idea of how they work.
Right.
Because like
everyone does need to. They need to know what's going on at least. Like.
Right.
I definitely think there's like a lot of people who like probably. Like it sucks because like they know how to run the tournament, like they know all about like the venues, like reserving all that shit, the scheduling, but like you know, we're gonna be at the point where like you're gonna really need to know, like you have to be fucking informed. Oh damn, he just shined you on the ledge.
Yeah, that's crazy. I seen Ryan Ford do that to me.
Yeah. I was about to say like he's definitely a big shiner.
Yeah.
It's already really popular. Like a lot of people already invested a lot of time into it, and like it does really help accessibility. Like. At the end of the day, like I do think that controllers are what's really interesting with controllers in particular with hand problems is that like, you know, like our hands are like not like human hands are like that fragile, and like melee is fast, but it's not like so fast that like you're guaranteed to have hand problems. A lot of the time the main issue with controllers is that there's no book that talks about how to hold a GameCube controller well for melee, or like to hold it safely. Like with guitars and like all these other like really intense like things on your hands, like there's a lot of like there's a lot of material on like how to like make sure that you can do it long term. Whereas controllers don't really have that, and so like I think in some ways like because like there are people who have hand pains with the box too, because like you know they may be just like doing like unhealthy hand positions and whatnot. So like I do think like there may like it like kind of solves like the hand problem like a little bit, but like you know
you can still
right, you can still suffer from it. And like I mean the main thing honestly is that like there are definitely people who are already like kind of like too deep in their hand problems to be able to like, you know, just fix their posture with a game controller and fix everything. Right. So like I definitely do think like the box is like really good for accessibility, and like that right now like people would literally have to stop playing like if it weren't legal. It's just gonna. I do think it's just gonna take a really long time. Oh my god, you did it again. It's gonna take a really long time before we get to that point where we're gonna like feel really confident the box is fine and legal, and like we're gonna deal with like so many patches and so much discourse, and I just hope that like that we're definitely gonna have like the group of people who like are gonna be informed. They're gonna have the whole community's best interest, and they're gonna be able to like figure it out. Because like I'm gonna be honest, I don't know like what the hell to fucking do with this thing. This thing is hella complicated. And, you know,
it's hard. I think time. I think the people who make boxes should either at least be very transparent about how they make them. I think that's just controllers in general, not just boxes. Like even because I know like the new Panda controller, shout out to Panda, like that's gonna be a thing, right? Like how's that gonna work?
Yeah, right.
You know, I think everything.
I forgot about that.
Any type of new thing that's coming out for people to be able to use, especially when you know they're like spending money on it. I definitely think it should be just transparent about how it works and what they use to make it work.
All right. Let's rock it. Let me try it. I'm gonna focus on lasering. Oh, not
Hey.
the Ditto. Shit.
Yeah. I feel like the best matchups to learn for me were obviously Fox. Marth actually felt clean to learn, and Sheik. Heavier characters felt harder to fight against initially.
Yeah. I bet.
Like Falcon, that shit feels that shit's hard, and
There's like a lot of rules you have to remember. It feels like. No. No. Okay. Yep.
This is.
Oh, that's.
See, this is like that learning curve I'm talking about, where you just like suck at the game for like 2 months.
Yeah, like dude, like I'm trying. I'm trying my best, dude.
Right.
All right, I'm rolling.
Take those.
Oh, wait, I'm trying to roll. No.
It's just hard. There's like a certain button too where it makes you okay. You do normal shield, and then there's another one just for light shielding.
Yeah.
Hey, you're doing pretty good though.
Yeah, I got pure
Let's
fundies. Nothing but fundies.
Yeah. That spacing is paying off. Yep, let's go.
I
Can you
can't
grab ledge? Oh, there you go. Back air. Yes.
No, I can't grab ledge for you.
Oh.
Wait, what's the grab one?
It should be what, like heavy? It would be heavy kick.
Oh, okay, yeah. Heavy. Yeah.
Or
I guess you don't need all these buttons. Is the main thing.
yeah, there's a Discord where you can.
No,
Oh no. There's a Discord for Frame One where you can use Frame One for like regular games. It's kind of cool.
I wish we could talk about stuff that was more that we knew more about.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk more about tournaments and whatnot instead.
Yeah. Oh, but you know, hopefully people enjoyed our box discourse or lack thereof.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you what your opinions are about the Bucks and whatnot.
Yeah, thank you guys, for watching. And as always, like Magi said, let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, and we will be back with more content, discourse about different things.
Yeah.
You guys take care.
Peace.